Report a shot fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle.
We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Now it's Shots Fired with your hosts TJ Kirgin, Dinah Death Milberg, and the lovely Krystal Powers.
Welcome to Shots Fired, the weekend edition. Well, it's the only edition because we don't do it any other time.
That's what she said.
And we are.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was quick. You know, we are the show.
Also, what she said. Oh, it hurts.
That's not what she said.
Alex is on fire. Well, I'm your HMFIC, Sig Glock and Colt, also known as TJ Kirgin, and this is our show, Shots Fired. My co-hosts are the lovely Krystal Powers. Say hi, Krystal.
Hello.
And the not so lovely, but yet dad joke funny, Alex Dinah Death Milberg.
Hello.
I felt like I should have applauded.
That was the smallest applaud ever.
It was like golf clap.
So this is a show where we talk about guns and all things freedom and self-defense and home protection and things like that. We're going to spend a lot of time. It seems like there's a lot going on in the news this week as it pertains to state-level gun laws and legislation, especially as it pertains to the state of Missouri.
Oh, boy.
Missouri, or for those of you listening down on that Raleigh stick. Missouri.
That's a U-H, right, at the end? Missouri?
Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's spelled exactly the same.
If you're trying to get elected in Missouri, you call it Missouri. Because more people in the state call it Missouri than Missouri.
Really?
Is that the same group that calls it Highway Farty Far? Farks?
I'm not really sure about the farty far thing.
Or a warsh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a southern thing, though, isn't that?
I think it has a lot to do with the Mason-Dixon line, which just happens to go right through Missouri, right?
True story.
Yeah.
It does?
I'm pretty sure.
I love learning Missouri history.
Oh, Missouri history is so awesome, especially when it pertains to gun laws. Matter of fact, since we've got some new stations on the air, we should probably do a history of Missouri gun laws today.
So we can talk about Mormon hunting again?
Mormon hunting, yes, yes. We will. We'll do that. We'll do that after the.
Make hunting Mormons great again.
We're going to do that after the next break. But before we get into Mormon hunting, and you know, don't take that literally. It's actually history.
Yeah.
But before that, we should talk about today's Missouri gun laws and how they recently changed again. You know, what's funny is if you get out your phone or your PC if you're at home and you Google, I'm going to do it in real time. You Google Missouri gun laws. It's awesome because the number one thing that pops up on there, you know how it suggests an article and it reads to you part of it, you know, like it takes a snippet of the article that it thinks is the most relevant, you know, for the searching person to see when it comes to Missouri gun laws.
Yeah, it's definitely totally random.
Absolutely unbiased.
Completely.
Yes.
Yes. So Google's unbiased random Missouri gun law quotation is as follows. Missouri gun laws are some of the weakest in the country. Missouri has no law requiring background checks or unlicensed gun sales. State law also allows people to carry hidden, loaded handguns in public without a permit or safety training. Ooh. Missouri has no laws prohibiting domestic abusers from possessing guns. And so that unbiased snippet is from Every Town for Gun Violence. You know, that Moms Demand Action, the George Soros funded anti-gun, basically the ATF.
I was going to guess the Washington Post.
No, the Washington Post only prints their stuff. You know, this is actually so it's funny that, you know, I'm searching for gun laws news when I do this, and I get this very, very biased, very anti-gun, you know, thing back from Google because Google is anti-gun, because Google is a leftist media and cannot be trusted. What search engine do you guys use?
I immediately Google Chrome.
Yeah, I mean, I use Google all the time unless I want the truth. So if I Google, you know, how awesome I am, you know, Google's going to tell me I'm pretty awesome. But if I want to know the truth, I use DuckDuckGo.
I use DuckDuckGo for everything, although I think I'm going to switch over to Brave just because I read that DuckDuckGo, what was it? Somebody showed a real-time screenshot of some search, and then the answer was hidden, like, you know, when you go to the very bottom of the page and it says see more results. Does anybody still do that anymore?
Yes.
There was like 4 or 5 see more results pages down was the actual answer. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was some topic that relating to politics. That was like, oh, cool. You're compromised too. No surprise.
I mean, if you search, if you follow the money, DuckDuckGo has probably been bought 15 times since it was freedom, you know?
Yeah.
And like any other thing, it's the same thing in the gun industry, right? When a company has a good idea, some sort of innovative technology or, you know, some sort of great idea, and they bring it to life, and then it's usually very good and wholesome and family owned, and it's got a brand, and people have faith in it, and
then
it gets the devil's lettuce.
Yes.
No, it doesn't smoke marijuana.
Wait, what?
It gets money from venture capital. And the second a company gets money from venture capital, it's all over. Because venture capital cares about one thing and one thing only, and that's making more venture capital.
Right.
Right. So customer service goes out the window, quality products. This is literally what's happened in the food market. Right?
Oh.
I mean, you could parallel.
Don't get me started.
Oh, I will. Matter of fact, I'm going to poke that bear. I mean, you know, food, guns, it's all the same. You know,
Yeah.
if you look at a company like Colt, right? Colt, Winchester, Remington. Remington's a great example, you know. But let's use Colt and Bushmaster.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the old days, you know, when I was the popo, which is the police for all you white people out there. When I was in law enforcement, you know, I was allowed, because this is before they lifted the assault weapons ban, I was allowed to own an AR-15. It was stamped right in the side, government and military law enforcement only.
Yeah.
And I got to have it. It was like one of my perks, right?
Wait, this is as your own personal for fun, or is this like on the job?
It was on the job.
Okay.
But cops are never really off the job, so, you know, I could take it home with me.
In uniform, I guess I should have said.
Yeah. So I carried an AR in the car, which is kind of how I got into this business in the first place, and eventually started the TacticalSht.T company. Huh. But I digress. Bushmaster was a very, very high quality weapon system.
Was?
Okay. Yeah. Well, and today
Very much was.
Today it's an absolute joke.
It's like bottom tier, like entry level, don't expect the best quality.
And this is solely because they got bought out by someone else and the quality went down?
Multiple times. Yeah. They, I mean, exactly like he said. They started out as a good, reputable brand. They were one of the bigger AR manufacturers for the civilian market. You know, Colt still had military contracts. Bushmaster was like really just for civilians. And then one of the many times they've been bought out, just everything went downhill very quickly.
So where was it like a marked difference? Like, oh, look at these prices, or like, oh wow, my gun is jamming again.
It was a gradual thing.
Sorry, I don't know. How do you categorize that?
Well, I think what you'll see is lack of quality, right? Like I said, it can be paralleled in the food industry. Mm-hmm. So as venture capital gets involved, as investors, you know, who are not angel investors, not when somebody's family invests or whatever, but when outside investors get involved in a product, service, or company, they always try to fatten they always try to fatten the bottom line, and they do that by cutting corners.
Like the Walmart analogy,
Right.
started by Sam Walton with a family grocery store, and now they own all of Bentonville.
Yeah.
Right. But would you say that the quality of service and products from Walmart have gone down over the years?
Exponentially.
Yeah. And the same thing with food. So you might have had, you know, a great food product 20 years ago, but as those quarterly profit, you know, reports come out, they have to keep tweaking in order to get more profits. So they start adding these additives, you know, and whatnot that are harmful to us as human beings, but helpful to their bottom line.
Yep.
Same type of thing with the weapon system. Instead of making it to an exacting standard, they start loosening up the tolerances on the metal machining so that they have, less quality control, less throwaway, less waste. And, they're okay with putting out a lesser product because it's got the logo on it. People will buy it.
So in the food industry, this is exemplified by poor health. What does it look like directly? Like if I bought a Bushmaster gun, what is that?
They're all going to laugh at you.
So, like, I'll give an example. Ruger put out an AR, and I had a customer who got one, and the bolt, like, not even 100 rounds into it, the bolt fractured in half.
Oh.
So, like, stuff like that. Stuff that's not supposed to happen on an AR. Out of the ordinary wear and tear.
I didn't know if it was like, oh, this doesn't shoot as good as it used to.
No.
Or like, oh, dang, the trigger fell off. Like,
no, you'll notice, like, you can't get any better than 3-inch groups.
Well, what's a 3-inch group? Explain that to the folks listening in their car right now that might not be range rats like we are.
So to break it down easy, kind of the benchmark for testing the accuracy of a rifle is called MOA, or minute of angle. And basically one MOA is a 1-inch group at 100 yards for one MOA if you're talking 100 yards. And that's kind of the desired group, and the baseline, especially now for quality, is if your gun is shooting 1 MOA or better, that's a good acceptable level of accuracy. If you're holding 2 or 3-inch groups at 100 yards, that's not very accurate. Now you're like AK territory, and that's usually due to cheap parts, cheap manufacturing, looser tolerances.
But to be, to be sympathetic to the AK owners out there, if you're shooting at a man-sized target and he's your threat in a war situation, you only have to be within 8 inches or 4 inches essentially off of the center of your target in order to, rapidly deflate the chest cavity, because it's an 8-inch, eight-inch target, being the lungs and the heart and the upper and descending aorta. Right.
Just remember, though, at a certain distances, all that's exemplified. So 2 MOA at 1,000 yards would be 20 inches.
Yeah.
Now you're talking completely off the target.
okay.
So what I'm getting at is the guy that's going to go shoot his AR-15 at a paper target at an indoor range 25 yards in front of him, and he's going to mag dump it, and he's going to be okay with as long as most of the bullets hit the paper. He's not going to notice much of a difference between an old school brand like Bushmaster that's gone down the road of venture capital, been bought and sold numerous times, and lessened quality control levels. He's, him and the guy that owns the Cobalt Kinetics, that's, one of the up and coming brands that's to exacting standards and, whatnot. They're not going to notice much of a difference just doing that. But if somebody's actually looking for, performance, precision, longer range,
You'll notice it quickly.
and numerous other things.
Well, for people who aren't quote unquote range rats, how do they find out what a good brand is other than just price point? Because I think people who are uninformed about something will just assume like, oh, okay, I don't know much about it, but I want quality. And
Well, first of all, they would listen to
expensive.
this show.
Yes, that would be a big
Check.
Or come to the shop and talk to any of our guys. So
What shop is that, Alex?
Tactical Shiznit.
Tactical
We have
Shiznit.
3 locations to choose from, whether you're here or in Florida. Cave Springs in St. Peters is the Missouri one.
Yeah.
We have one in Orlando inside Machine Gun America.
And because it's on the north side of Highway 70, it's Missouri.
Yes, that is correct pronunciation.
Yeah, if we were down off 44, it'd be the Missouri location.
Missouri.
Missouri, yeah.
Yeah, we just opened the Tampa Bay area store in Clearwater the
Last
other day,
weekend,
last
yeah.
weekend.
That's right. You had the grand opening.
Yep.
Yeah,
How'd
it
it
was
go?
awesome.
Fantastic.
Absolutely awesome. We had 300 tactical Shiznit heads in attendance.
Nice.
It's like a Jimmy Buffett party, but with guns.
Yeah, that's an accurate statement.
Yeah. The event was great. What was really re-energizing for me was the amount of people that had not only heard about us on the radio or got the email blast. If you're not getting our email on a daily basis, I feel sorry for you because it's pretty good. But there was tons of people there. One guy actually walked up to me and said, "TJ, do you recognize this wallet?" And he took his wallet out, and I recognized it as one that we promoted, like back in 2013, 2014. It's a Travax wallet. They've gone out of business now.
kudos to you. I'd be like, no, sorry. Bro.
Well, I mean, I actually have a very similar wallet in my pocket right now.
Oh, okay.
And he says, I won this from you on Facebook, years ago. And so
was it a giveaway?
Yeah, it was. I remember.
Raffle?
Yeah, it was probably a like and share this to have a chance to win.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. But we had actually one gentleman, one young guy was there with his father, and his father's like some sort of super ninja, like 9th degree black belt taekwondo guy. Yada yada yada, and his dad's an instructor, and he brought his dad to meet us because he listens to every one of our podcasts.
Oh, that's
So he's probably listening to this one.
BA.
Yeah, we're going to get his dad on the podcast for sure because his dad had all kinds of cool stuff to tell. He was like us. He was very much all about, self-defense training, but not necessarily following one modality of self-defense. Not, whether it's jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or, whatever.
And the mindset, how important just having the correct mindset for it is as
100%. I was just going to say that I actually really admire that about martial arts, even with something like taekwondo, because I actually have a black belt in taekwondo from a long time ago. And the mindset is like the confidence and the de-escalation skills and the like centeredness is so valuable to just life, not just confrontation.
Yeah, that's true.
No doubt. But anyway, to get to the answer to your question, we had 300 people there, and it was just an awesome day.
Yeah, I saw that picture of you. Are you not entertained?
Yeah, with my arms out. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. We had Joshua Cave there taking pictures. Got a bunch of good stuff. If you want to see the Tampa Grand Opening, you can check it out on the TacticalSht Clearwater Instagram page. I think we need to take a break, so we're going to come back right after this. We need a new studio so badly.
If the chair's a squeaking, she's a freaking.
Oh, boy. So welcome back to Shots Fired, and this is the second segment on our new stations. We're right in the middle of a segment on our other stations, and they just, somehow we went to squeaking chairs, and they're like, what's going on? I don't know. But anyway, we were talking about, well, actually, we got sidetracked like we always do.
It happened.
And we actually never got to talk about the new Missouri gun laws.
Oh,
Yes.
We said we were going to talk about Missouri gun law history.
Yeah.
Alex, can you talk about what happened in the last week in the Missouri House? Some really interesting stuff with where you can carry guns now, and then the other one was the banks. The Missouri is now cracking down on banks and or businesses, but they mean banks that target or go against the gun industry.
I think target was an accurate word.
Target's a good word.
That's huge because that's something we've experienced.
Yes, I cannot tell you. So, give you an example, TacticalSht.T, we have had $25,000 seized by PayPal. They said that we violated their
That's right, you mentioned that.
their terms and conditions, and then
And you never got it back, did you?
No, we never got it back. They said we'd get it back in 90 days. They were going to sit on the money until to protect themselves against chargebacks. Right?
And then poof.
And then
it disappeared.
not just poof, they sent us an invoice for the exact amount of money that was in our account, and the invoice was for damages. Now, the one thing a lot of people don't know is that PayPal is not a bank. They are not FDIC guaranteed. They do not have to follow bank rules. You're basically giving your money, any money that's in your PayPal account, very similar to Venmo or anything else, which also, what's the word? They target the gun industry. I'm looking for the word there, but they discriminate. I'm not used to saying that because I'm not typically the one to say, oh my gosh, I'm discriminated against. But these banks, well, they're not banks.
They really are.
Venmo and PayPal are not banks. When you put your money in those, you're basically taking money out of your bank and putting them in a company's bank. And if you don't read the 30 pages of fine print, they can take your money for any reason at any time and not give it back to you. So it's pretty scary, even if you're not in the gun industry. But Senate Bill 1048 prohibits public entities from entering into contracts worth $100,000 or greater with businesses unless they certify that they do not discriminate against the firearms industry or firearms businesses. Anti-gun banks and their executives have expressed interest in denying services to the firearms industry as a way to further their political agenda. And so Missouri is now following Texas in making sure that this is not legal. Now, they're not saying it's illegal, but what they're saying is that if a bank discriminates against the gun industry, they cannot do business with any public entity in the state of Missouri. So if a bank wants to loan money to a city or a state or a park or any other state-run entity, you know, they're not allowed to if they discriminate against the firearms industry. This recently came to a head. This recently came to a head in Texas. I think it was Chase. Chase all of a sudden changed their position on firearms. They're like, "Hey, we will give the firearms industry money. If you're in the firearms industry, we're going to give you money. We're going to loan you. We're going to loan you money." The reason they did that is because Texas said that who does tremendous amounts of business with Chase, said they wouldn't do the business if they continued their oppression of the firearms industry that was originally started under the Barack Obama, administration.
That's right.
It was called Operation Choke Point.
I completely had forgotten about all that.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, they
That's
came down
interesting.
hard. That like Obama wasn't able to pass any sort of gun legislation at all. But the one thing he was able to pass was a bunch of stuff that the banks were able to hit him real hard. Credit card processors too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been dropped by our credit card processing companies twice. And we've there's safety in numbers. So we've got 3 different credit card processing banks. We use all 3 of them for different reasons. That way, if one of them decides to become anti-gun tomorrow, that we could just, move that flow of revenue to the other 2. But it's absolutely devastating to the firearms industry, to gun shops, to gun shows. I mean, you probably see it. You're running gun shows, or you used to be running gun shows all over the Midwest.
Well, yeah, and what ended up happening was they just made the move to cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had no other choice.
Right.
Yeah, that could be a whole other talk on its own. The whole big push to transition away from cash to obvious reasons, because it's obviously way easier to forfeit assets and stuff if it's all crypto and digital.
Right. Well, they're really trying hard to devalue it.
But kudos to Missouri legislature, for making moves to protect the businesses in Missouri. And there's a bunch of big ones in Missouri. Tactical SH.T, Tactical Shot, what the old ladies call it. That we're not the only big gun industry company in Missouri. You
CMMG,
have, which is Central Missouri Machine Gun, which makes some of the finest rifles in the country. They are not one of those ones that got a bunch of venture capital. They're still making good stuff, and they still innovate on a regular basis, making really cool guns.
Yeah.
Their delayed roller lock stuff in 10 millimeter and 5.7 is pretty gnarly. You also have a little company. It's called Midway USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in Missouri. There's something like an $80 million a year juggernaut,
give or take,
maybe $120 million a year, something like that. But there's a lot of. I think there's another one. What is it called? It's a little shop, mom and pop. It's Bass Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bass Pro, that little bitty company that also owns Cabela's. They're also based out of Missouri and in the firearms industry.
I actually didn't know they were based in Missouri.
Yeah, unless they've moved. They were located in what, Springfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Black Rain Ordnance.
Yeah, Black Rain. That was the Freudian slip I just had, was Black Rain. They're from Missouri. There's and I'm sure we're missing out on a couple more. Weber Tactical, big holster company now, operating out of O'Fallon, Missouri. They kind of grew up with us.
Yeah.
And then just tons and tons of ranges and gun shops.
I actually appreciate that you're listing these, because I like to keep my dollars local, and I like to support,
Support small business.
Well, I don't even know that
small shooting businesses.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be small business, but the made in the USA thing. If I know that people care about their job because they actually care about the product, that's actually a really big frustration of mine during COVID, when people were denying me entry into businesses because I refused to wear a mask.
Yeah.
I could absolutely tell every place I walked into, these people had no vested interest in how good their company was doing. When I say okay, I won't spend money here, they're like, cool, I don't care.
Oh my gosh, that is literally the opinion of everybody, not just in the firearms industry, but literally everything. I recently traveled to Tampa for the grand opening of our Clearwater store. Mm-hmm. And Alex, you were with me. You go to the airport And the little at Lambert Airport here in St. Louis, you've got the little stands that you can go into to buy water and magazines and books and
For $1 billion.
Never
for $1
seen
billion
this
bucks.
before.
And there's literally 3 women behind the counter, and
All on their phones.
all on their phones. And I wanted to buy a bottle of water, and she just points at the self checkout thing. I got to scan it myself, pay for it myself, and I'm like, why are there 3 of you here?
They're literally all 3 standing together on their phones because I was right behind him. Same thing. Came up. They don't even say anything.
This is the new
I'm
way.
totally against shaming people, but I feel like in those situations, I'm going to take a picture of you and post it to the internet because, no, you're better than this. Like, take pride in your job.
No, but then we get to Florida. We're flying back out of the Tampa airport. We thought it might be just a St. Louis thing. Out of the Tampa airport, and the restaurant. There's a restaurant I love at the Tampa airport. It's got these awesome breakfast sandwiches. I don't know what kind of magic sauce they put on it, but it's really good stuff. I'm sure it has seed oil in it.
Probably. How dare you?
But I'm standing there in line, and they just ignore me. I'm standing there. I'm like the only person in line, and I'm standing there, and finally, some gal from the kitchen goes, "You got to order online now."
Yeah.
And I look, and okay, there's a QR code, and so I scan the QR code, and I go to order online, and nothing on the online menu matched the menu that was up top. It was like I wanted it was past breakfast because it was 10:29 a.m. and their breakfast stopped serving at 10:30. But at 10:29, the breakfast menu was gone.
Okay.
But yet there was a cheeseburger, and that cheeseburger had an egg on it. And I thought, okay, it's a compromise, but it's kind of like brunch, right? So it's a burger with breakfast. I can do this. So I look at the online menu, and there's no burger with an egg. Yeah. You ever see that movie with the guy in the fast food joint with the Tech Nine?
That was about to be you.
Yeah, that was just, what was the name of that movie?
Falling Down.
Falling Down.
Spectacular movie.
Falling Down is about where we're at with society.
It's me on a daily
The
basis.
only problem is when you do fall down and end up spraying the Tech Nine in the fast food joint, the only thing you're going to kill is a bunch of self-serve registers.
That's a sad fact.
I don't like the direction where this is going because I see that too. And I think I actually, so problem and solution. I have experienced that so many times, and it really bothers me, partially because I've worked in customer service for so long, but also because I'm a human being and I like when people look me in the eye and speak respectfully to me. Like, how dare I? But I feel like that creates this need because I'm not the only person who feels that way, who wants to be like, I don't want to be catered to. I mean, sure, it'd be nice, but when I walk in anywhere.
Not treated like dirt, perhaps?
I just want to be held. Like, give me a hug, Walmart.
There are places for that.
I do go, why on earth does Walmart have 57 registers and I've never seen more than like 3 open at any given time? Like, what was even the point of this? You could have just put more product there.
That was, they put in all those registers back before they realized that they didn't need people. Technology has eliminated
so that's the other
for the people.
that's the other side of that. Finding a solution is that people don't just want a person to treat them like a person, like, hey, I care about you, thanks for being here and spending your money here on our products. People also want to talk to a person because people can still see that machines are replacing people.
Yeah.
And people are going to go out of their way to talk to a person for a more expensive product that isn't as quality because they want the human interaction.
Yeah, you're going to have to subscribe to the human service.
You got to pay extra for
that's
that.
so
Human service will be
sad.
subscription-based. Everything's going subscription-based.
It is.
But you know what's not subscription-based? House Bill 1462 in Missouri that repealed arbitrary gun-free zones that did nothing to hinder criminals while leaving law-abiding citizens like our listeners defenseless. So now you can carry your GAT in Missouri on public transportation.
Yeah,
One of the places, by the way, that you need it the most.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Huge.
say.
So that is pretty exciting. Bravo to Missouri. Let's move on to Florida for a minute. So Florida, where we're not on the air yet, but we plan to be soon, because we have stores in Orlando and in Clearwater. In Florida, the constitutional carry has failed 3 years in a row. This year, just several months ago, Governor DeSantis, one of my favorite politicians on earth,
Isn't that a weird statement?
Yes, it makes me
a short
cringe.
list.
It's very cringy. DeSantis said that you put it on my desk and I'll sign it.
Right.
And they failed to put it on his desk. And there were a lot of political reasons why it didn't make it. Basically, people, I forget, some guy in the Senate that was responsible for, or would have been responsible for getting that pushed through. He's up for election for some sort of other major position in Florida, and he didn't want that hanging around his neck. So he went ahead and killed it. But because DeSantis just vetoed the redistricting bill or whatever in Florida, they now have to go in special session, and that has reinvigorated and given another bite at the apple for the constitutional carry. And for all of you that live in Missouri that travel to Florida like I do on a regular basis, that's going to be a really big deal.
Yeah.
Because if you have let your Florida or Missouri concealed carry license lapse,
Whoops.
Because you don't need it anymore, and you carry a gun in Florida, you could be opening yourself up to both criminal and civil liability because Florida does not reciprocate your expired permit.
Yeah.
And so we need them to be constitutional carry. That'll be interesting to see how that works, honestly, because constitutional carry will only apply to Florida residents, not necessarily Missourians.
Technically, couldn't you become a Florida resident as well?
You can, but there's a lengthy process of doing that. And it's not in any way easy. I've actually looked into it because I do spend so much time there.
So it's not as simple as like go to the DMV and fill out, a form.
No. You actually, I was reading through some legal stuff the other night about becoming a Florida citizen, and one of the requirements, I would have to change my dog's veterinarian to a Florida veterinarian. They're no joke down there. They're like, yeah, you're not going to pretend to live here. You're going to live here or you're not going to be a resident.
You also have to commit one act of Florida ban, I've heard.
I've already done that at least twice today.
I don't know what we're talking about anymore, and I'm scared to ask.
Just Google Florida man and click
Florida
news.
man. I thought you said Florida ban. Like this is some sort of...
No, like literally Florida man.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes every once in a while I'm like, you go, Florida man.
The monkeys have herpes. They have herpes, monkeys. Yeah, no, it's a true story. Ocala Forest. I had to look it up because I thought the guys were just trying to mess with me. I'm like, I'm not gullible, guys.
But then you looked it up.
No, they showed I wouldn't look it up either. I'm like, no, I'm not an idiot. And then they pulled the phone and I'm like, okay, I believe it.
Here's the headlines from today. Florida man guilty of daughter's death denied chance for visiting dying mother. Central Florida man wins $5 million on scratch-off from gas station. Florida man indicted in killing Daytona Beach couple. Florida driver dies. He's not a Florida man. He's just a driver. Well, it's still good. Florida driver dies after collision with an 11-foot alligator.
Holy.
Wonder how fast he was going. Did you see that alligator run out in front of me? Florida man arrested for pummeling 73-year-old in Publix parking lot. Florida man wanted in pummel. Oh, that's the same one. I guess he got arrested after being wanted. Let's see here. Florida man Scott Fudge is in more trouble over village grocery store something or other. It just goes on and on. Every day, if you just Google Florida man and scroll through it, it's weird. Endless entertainment.
I remember reading Florida man stories, like just when they popped out before Florida man was actually a thing. And they always sounded like really just real, like a bunch of crackheads. But knowing what I know about
me,
Florida's, I don't want to stop it. Gun laws.
Did you almost just tick off the entire state of Florida?
No. Like knowing about their politics, like I actually I appreciate what Florida's got going on.
Yeah, beautiful. It's a interesting collection of people. Yeah.
You seem so pleased with yourself with that word choice.
You know what? We should probably do an ad right now for our sponsor, Precision Fitness.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're a Florida man and you want to feel better or look better naked as you're running from the alligators,
that was the best transition I have ever heard you do.
You like that?
That was choice.
You like that? Okay. So Precision Fitness in Creve Coeur, right off of Olive Road, they do wonders for you if you have the desire and the time and the money, let's get real, with, as far as getting fit and getting healthy and looking better, basically what they're calling age management, right? So it's everything from personal trainers for your fitness to nutrition, which I know you're big on, Krystal. So they're right up there with you on cutting out all the BS out of your diet. Like right now, they've adjusted me after taking my blood work last week. Now I'm not allowed to have any carbs until after my 3 p.m. workout.
Oh,
And so I'm basically carb starving myself for the first half of every day.
that sounds fun.
And it's not, but it's okay. I can live without my bread and whatnot, and just eat lots of meat and eggs and things like that. But it's all part of my nutrition plan, which they constantly try to dial in based on actual medical science because they're looking at my blood. They're also doing testosterone therapy on me. They've got my blood pressure down, and I love to do peptides. The one peptide I'm doing right now is CJC. My wife is doing it as well. It's absolutely awesome. It is literally, so you've heard, Alex, of human growth hormones.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So bodybuilders use human growth hormones, and those can be bad for you. Would you admit that?
Yeah.
Okay, because,
It just taps your body out and says it doesn't need it anymore.
Right.
And it grows everything.
Right. And so what CJC does is it's not a human growth hormone. It's a peptide that actually tells your hypothalamus gland that you're 18 again and gets your body to make its own human growth hormones on a regular basis as if you just came through adolescence and are at the prime of your life. And so it increases lean muscle, it burns fat, it brings your metabolism back to that same type of speed that it was at that time.
That'd be awesome.
It does all kinds of stuff. I sleep better. The results are endless, honestly. It's not cheap, but it's not for everyone because you have to literally stick yourself, 2 times a day with a needle, which I was not cool with at first. But anyway, if you're into living better, looking better naked, feeling younger, looking younger, whatever, check out Precision Fitness and Medical Spa in Creve Coeur. We'll be back after this. All right, we're back for what's probably the last segment of the show. Some of you, we didn't really go anywhere, so that's a little weird, but it's because we're on 5 radio stations that it makes this really complicated. And when we get on the 6th and 7th stations in Florida, it's going to make it an even bigger nightmare. We might actually need to hire somebody who knows what they're doing. No offense, Fish. He knows what he's doing. He just leaves us to our own devices and things just get all messed up. Yeah. But anyway, you know what we haven't done yet today, and we're running out of time? It's talking about Missouri gun law history, which is actually one of my favorite segments of this show.
It has become quite entertaining.
It really has. Let's start class, shall we? So, Missouri actually had gun laws before it was a state. The Louisiana Purchase happened in 1803, and sometime after that, in 1818, Missouri's first weapon law prohibiting slaves from possessing guns and allowing whites to take guns from slaves was America's first gun law.
There's so much to unpack on that.
Yeah.
You don't even it's simplistic, and also you could do an entire show for a year on that concept.
Because all gun laws are racist.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
really.
that literally proves that they're founded in racism.
Racist discrimination of all kinds.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't even need to be race, religion. You know, there's been times on Earth. Whoever is the discriminated against is the one they don't want to have the guns. Mm-hmm. The ones doing the discrimination, they're the ones that are allowed to have the guns or the knives or the swords or whatever. It's just simple history.
Or the narrative.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, the first gun laws in Missouri were 1818, that slaves couldn't own guns and white people could take guns from them if they had one. In 1820, Missouri became a state. Happy birthday. In 1838, the extermination order happened, mandating the expulsion of Mormons, all Mormons from the state of Missouri, by any means necessary, including deadly force.
I really want to know what happened to cause that event. There has to be a story.
So,
it has to do with having 3 wives, I guarantee you.
I happen to know a little bit, not about Missouri history, but about Utah history, because my grandma was born and raised in Salt Lake City and escaped Mormonism. Yes, I use the word escaped. And she escaped to California, which is why I am from California, because she made that jump. But she was telling me a little bit about our pioneer ancestors. And the Mormons in Utah tried to start their own country. And they were aggressively taking over They wanted to create a country that went from at least Utah to the ocean for trade. And obviously the feds didn't like that, but they were very aggressive in maintaining their
I'm trying to do the same thing. I want all the land west of the Mississippi.
I think that's fair.
I think it's fair. I mean, I live west of the Mississippi. Why can't I take it? But anyway, we got more laws to talk about.
Okay.
So in 1838, the Mormons did something bad, and Missouri gun laws were enacted that basically allowed the extermination using lethal force. And interesting fact, that law was not repealed until 1976.
That's wild.
So literally, the year I was born in 1974, you could still smoke Mormons in the state of Missouri and not get in trouble for it because it was literally okay. Governor Kit Bond actually apologized to the Mormon community on behalf of the state when he repealed that in 1976. Let's see. Then the Civil War happened. The post-Civil War lawlessness led to vigilantism. You know, we all know that because we watch, 1883. And,
I still haven't seen it yet.
Very good movie.
Missouri had a lot with that, though, between the James Gang, guerrilla raiders, and then we also had bald knobbers down in the Ozarks.
Bald knobbers?
Yep.
That's the last name of a family, correct?
No, it's bald knob is...
Sounds
I think it's like
German
a Missouri
for some
mountain
reason.
with no trees on it.
So
It's bald. It's the top of a Missouri hill with no trees, and that's what you find in the Ozarks. And it was an organization after the Civil War that were vigilantes, but it turned into, like all groups like that do, them bullying and executing other people. They got really bloody.
So because of the quote-unquote lawlessness and vigilantism, which, oh, by the way, was part of the narrative back then, the media narrative that was controlled by the White House, they implemented bans on concealed weapons in Missouri in 1875. You could no longer have a concealed firearm on or about your person, in your vehicle, on your horse, whatever. And that ban, lasted for 128 years, which, oh, by the way, is kind of what the next one will do. Once they get it, they're endlessly trying to get it, and because they know it's going to stick for a long time, and so much damage is going to be done during that long time.
Yeah.
So 128 years later, September of 2003, that is when CCW was finally made legal in Missouri again with application through the local sheriff's department and concealed weapons training. That's how long that. A lot of people think that they've had the right since 1776 to carry a gun. Well, in Missouri, you've only had that right since 2003. Yeah.
That's so wild. I feel like most people don't know the history of the gun laws in their own states. Yeah. And although I have seen, I can't remember what state it was. Was it Indiana who passed their constitutional carry last week?
I believe so, yeah.
Like people.
Georgia?
Georgia.
It was Georgia.
Yes, I think Indiana was 2 weeks ago. People are totally unaware of the laws in their own state. Like to a sad degree, like it's easy for you to go on your phone and Google it, even if it's a biased source. Like the law is still the law, no matter where you read it from. It's not that hard to look it up or to advocate, because there are groups who do that.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it is it's amazing how many laws get passed all the time and you don't even...
Well, because they're earmarked, right? Yeah. They just sneak them in there with like an energy bill or something.
That's what blows my mind.
You mean like the extermination of the Mormons?
I don't know if you could.
I don't know. I
bet
bet that one was probably well received.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. If you were around when the Mormon extermination order was called, give us a call. Let us know. Oh, wait. No, you wouldn't be. So in 2006, Castle Doctrine was allowed in Missouri, or enacted, meaning you have the right to use lethal force to protect your domicile, right? Your home.
Which we saw most notably when Mark McCloskey was defending his home.
Yes. Yeah. And then in 2007, no permit was needed to purchase a firearm. You know, and what's funny is this history of Missouri state gun laws. I'm actually getting this from an anti-gun Missouri organization. So it's like, you know, they feed us all the material to help argue the fact that gun laws are bad in this interesting website. The website's actually called JacksonCountyProsecutor.com. Jackson County, Missouri. I guess it's a liberal prosecutor, and they got tons of great information here. You know, the end of the PowerPoint says, just when you think it couldn't get worse, stand your ground, remove the duty to retreat in public places in 2016, and in 2017, permitless carry eliminated the necessity for training and permits to carry guns in Missouri, aka constitutional carry, which is, oh, by the way, now in 24 states in the United States. And soon, hopefully, if DeSantis can get it done, to be the 25th state, which is Florida.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But even though it's a constitutional state, we're going to end one local show with this. It might be your right to carry a gun, you know, the constitutional right that you just were granted, not since 1776, but they just acknowledged it. It's your right, but it is your duty as a patriot, as an American, as a community member, as a father, as a mother, as a whatever, to get training to be able to use that weapon safely and efficiently in the face of violence.
Absolutely.
And that is the end of the local show, but we still got what we now call the
happy hour.
The after show, the happy hour.
Something else.
Is that a happy hour?
I was thinking about the ammo happy hour.
Well, yeah, just we record this show on Thursdays, and we do at TacticalSht.T in St. Peter's and in our Florida stores, we have ammo happy hour on Thursdays. So you're hearing this on Saturday. You're going to have to wait until next Thursday. But ammo happy hour, I believe it's from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So you got to swing by after work. But if you pick up ammunition during ammo happy hour, we pay the sales tax for you.
Yep.
And so depending on what, you know, city you're in, that can be 7 to 9% off of ammo, which is a pretty decent discount on ammunition, considering the ammo we sell is already priced at internet low prices anyway. If you ever go to the website AmmoSeek to check ammo pricing, it's kind of the end-all, be-all established. It's a website that kind of shows you what the lowest costs in the nation for ammunition are by caliber. AmmoSeek, you'll see Tactical SH-T at the top of most feeds on a regular basis because we compete nationally online with some of the biggest players out there, just like Midway USA. We have to compete. And so our retail stores, you know, they don't sell for retail. Our ammunition is typically cheapest price online, even in our brick and mortar stores.
So what I hear you saying is this should be the first stop on Girls' Night Out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think so.
Just remember from our last week's show, if you're going to drink on your girls' night out, to leave the gun in the car. Because, as we discussed, it's probably not a good idea to get intoxicated in the state of Missouri while in possession of a firearm.
So you get your happy hour price ammo, you get your range time, and then you go drinking and shopping with your girls, and that's the perfect girls' night out.
I like it.
Hints, guys. Hints.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes sense. I could see that working.
I would host a ladies' night that did that.
We should do that. Maybe we should do a shots fired ladies' night.
That'd be so fun.
I think we should do it.
Would I be the only one there?
Well, my mom will probably be there because she's the only other listener of the show.
I like it.
And Alex's mom, too. She makes the best toffee.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, you said the first cuss word of the show, and we only had 20 seconds left. Everybody clap for Alex. Hey, guys, Shots Fired is going to be back next week when we promise we'll talk less about politics and laws and more about what you carry every day, where you carry it, which is everywhere, and what kind of training you get, which is all of it.
That was good, guys.
See you next week.